Now in the Sign Zone on BBC Two, the high-tech tackling of crime.
For too long, criminals have been getting away with it.
He's off and he's running down the alleyway.
But now the police and the public are fighting back. With an array of high-tech crime-fighting tools, the odds are tilting in our favour.
Technology is advancing at such a pace, it's going to change the way law enforcement in the 21st century is carried out.
As we track criminals on the streets and in the air.
This is going to be a game changer, and we are going to get more, better, faster results.
Capture crimes as they happen.
The ability to pinpoint wanted persons with speed and accuracy would be a huge resource for law enforcement.
And identify offenders faster than ever.
There are many, many crimes that can be virtually eliminated using technology.
Making our communities safe again. Thanks to a Frontline Fightback. Today, the eye in the sky that leaves criminals nowhere to hide.
Without that footage, it would have been extremely difficult to know where he was. With the drone, nobody escapes.
The home security systems that are helping beat burglars.
The minute they try to punch it, it will deploy a lever inside the door which will lock it.
And the dedicated police teams cracking down on neighbourhood crime.
Wherever there's a problem, wherever it's identified, we will go as a team to tackle that problem.
Smart new home security systems are making it easier than ever to protect our homes. Motion detecting cameras, artificial intelligence, and video doorbells are becoming commonplace. But we should always be on our guard. Burglars are indiscriminate, and the one thing they don't care about is their victim.
My name is Joanne Birkinshaw, and I'm a nurse at Barnsley Hospital.
Throughout COVID, Jo has been on the NHS front line, battling to keep us safe.
Every day is tough working in an emergency department. During a pandemic, it's doubly tough.
In our hour of need, Jo and her colleagues rose to the challenge.
We've got an amazing team where I work, and we all pull together. We went through all kinds of emotions, not knowing what we were going to be facing. We were just scared of what we were going into and scared of what we were taking home. But we still had to do a job. We just had to sort of take each day at a time. Some of us were getting sick as well, so there were staff shortages to face with and new ways of working which were really difficult and really stressful.
Jo also volunteered to do extra shifts to help with the vaccination rollout.
I was tired, but you just keep going and wanted to just keep helping really and to get back to a normality. It was a really, really difficult time.
January the 23rd, 2021. Jo heads home after a gruelling 12-hour shift.
We'd had a really busy day. I was tired, just wanted to come home and just watch telly and eat chocolate and have a bath. And that was going to be the rest of my evening. As I pulled onto my drive, there were some lights on in the house, and I knew I hadn't left the lights on. The landing light was on, the front room light was on. And I kind of knew that there was something wrong. I was actually on the phone to my dad as I was driving home because my dad had had his vaccination that day. And I said, "Dad, I think I've been burgled."
Fearing the worst, Jo went inside.
As I walked into my house, I saw glass everywhere. And when I walked through to the kitchen, I could see that they'd smashed the French windows, broken the French windows to get in.
A rock had been thrown through the window and the house had been ransacked. Joe's purse containing cash and credit cards was missing.
Kitchen chairs were everywhere. Every cupboard in the house was open and overturned. I went upstairs and just saw chaos, really. Devastation. My bedroom particularly, every single drawer had been open and stuff was thrown everywhere. My jewellery box had gone. That was my worst nightmare, really.
Anne Beswick is a former Lancashire police detective and has worked closely with victims of crime. Anne now teaches police and criminal investigation students at the University of Central Lancashire.
Dealing with burglaries was very much an everyday occurrence, particularly in my early days as a detective. We need to be able to feel safe in our own homes by somebody coming in uninvited, even if they only take small things. Very often the pieces that are stolen, it might be a piece of jewellery that has immense sentimental value to somebody that and no insurance policy in the world can ever replace. So burglary is a particularly insidious type of crime with regards to people feeling safe.
They took all my valuables, sentimental jewellery, really. A ring I had bought when I was 18. My dad bought me a beautiful watch when I was 50. Things that belonged to my mum, and my mum's no longer with us. It's just your memories of your life in one box.
Joe's engagement ring, which she'd taken off to go to work, was also gone.
They're irreplaceable and sentimental things. They're gone forever, and they're my things, and they've gone.
Joe had always intended to have a security system with cameras installed, but just never got round to it.
Technology, is moving on into, and most people have got CCTV just to protect the things now, because it is something you can even install yourself. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I know having a burglar alarm doesn't stop you being burgled, but I honestly didn't think that I had anything valuable to steal.
The burglary had left Joe feeling vulnerable. She decided to spend the night at her dad's. Jane Hamilton is the crime reporter on Scotland's Daily Record newspaper. Over 2 decades, Jane has reported on many different aspects of crime and has interviewed scores of burglary victims.
We go to work, we come home, we open our front door, we close our front door, and that's our sanctuary, that's our personal space. And for somebody to violate that and to come in and touch our things that we've worked hard for, or to take them, particularly women feel very vulnerable after that. They don't want to stay there anymore, they feel scared. The psychological impact of being robbed is often much worse than any monetary value that's costing them.
That night, Joe wrote a letter addressing the burglars directly and posted it on Facebook.
I wish you hadn't decided to come into my house last night. I don't think I or anyone else deserves the devastation and upset that you have inflicted on me. COVID has been difficult for all of us, but my colleagues and myself at Barnsley Hospital have had the worst year ever. I'm not special, and it's not only me. I am part of a great team and hospital trust, and I really am proud of what we have overcome. More recently, I've volunteered to work extra to be part of the vaccination hub. This was in addition to my own job as a nurse practitioner. I did this to help all of us in our community to get back to normality. I don't know your story, and you didn't know mine.
Joe's Facebook post was a direct appeal to the burglars, but it struck a chord with people living in the area. Later, Joe gets a smart new security system to protect her home and ensure nothing like this ever happens again.
I was contacted within a few days of being burgled from a burglar alarm company who wanted to provide me with a burglar alarm. A second local company sorted me out with CCTV. It is very humbling and a nice feeling that people were cared about what happened to me.
Drug use is linked with acquisitive crimes like thefts and house break-ins.
Okay, this morning we got a Section 23 Misuse of Drugs Act warrant.
These officers are planning an early morning raid.
His intelligence received that unknown person's address been in production of cannabis.
They're part of a dedicated police unit cracking down on drug dealers.
We ready? We're all kitted up? Let's go.
Operations like this are designed not only to reduce drug use, but to reassure local residents.
This is about working alongside our neighbourhood teams, identifying the problems that our communities are telling us about, and then getting out and dealing with them. Being that proactive arm of Avon and Somerset.
To make you aware, we're about to execute a warrant.
The unit, known as Operation Remedy, was headed by Superintendent Pete Warren.
Burglary and drug crime are intrinsically linked because we know that a large number of users of drugs will commit crime to fund their habit.
Let's go.
Wherever there's a problem, wherever it's identified, we will go as a team, whether that's an individual team or as an entire unit, to tackle that problem.
12 and the 12-0. Swimco.
Police have received a tip-off that a warehouse here is being used for cannabis production.
Our communities will know who is dealing drugs and what's happening in their area, and they will tell us about that.
Officers prepare to make a forced entry.
Is the back covered?
There's no sign of life, but they're taking no chances.
It's our plants.
The tip-off was a good one. Inside, there are hundreds of full-grown cannabis plants.
Be careful, guys.
Whoever's responsible for this is also illegally abstracting electricity. There's exposed wiring, with cables and sockets hanging from the ceiling, making the place a potential death trap.
Can we get onto the electricity company, please, to come and make it safe? Believe abstraction electricity.
A search of the premises continues.
Police!
And police discover a second room, also being used to cultivate cannabis. Moments later, a suspect makes a run for it.
Up on the main road now. You can see whether it went left or right. He's like 6 foot, still dark black hair, slim to medium build, and an olive green tracksuit top and bottom.
Officers are looking for the individual who's climbed out of the rear window and then scaled a very large wall to the rear.
He's evaded the police for now. But today's operation has been a success. The warehouse is shut down and the cannabis plants seized as evidence. In 12 months, Operation Remedy has taken drugs worth an estimated £1.3 million out of circulation.
Drugs affects communities in ways that they probably don't think about because it's not affecting them directly, but indirectly it is. If you've got an area where there is a high usage of drugs, then you're drawing in other criminal types. You'll have the people that are funding their drug habit through housebreaking, car theft, mugging, shoplifting. It's not just about the drugs. The drug problem is massive, it's huge, but it also feeds on to other crime types.
Many areas are blighted by illegal drug use. In Matlock, Derbyshire, the police are fighting back. Here, drug dealers are no longer getting things their own way. Thanks in part to Derbyshire Police's not-so-secret weapon, the drone.
This is one of our drones we use on the drone unit, one of 10. This is the DJI M300.
PC Matt Moore is the drone unit's flight safety manager.
I have a wide-angle camera built into it. I have a zoom camera and I also have a thermal camera. You can quite easily zoom in 600-700 metres and see people's faces or descriptions quite easily. Whichever options I need, it's only a click away.
These drones help with a whole range of jobs. From fighting fires, to tracing missing people, to assisting arrests. The man seen here trying to escape through an upstairs window is a suspected drug dealer. He thinks he's outwitted the police, but he's wrong.
With the drone, nobody escapes. Without that footage, it would have been extremely difficult to know where he was.
Derbyshire Police's drone unit was set up in 2019 and has established itself as a vital crime-fighting tool.
The drone unit has a very good place within Derbyshire Police. It's now recognised widely within the policing community that it is a good asset. People generally use us once they've seen the quality of the footage and what we can actually do. And more, we're finding officers are turning to us to give them that support. We get anywhere between probably 5 and 10 jobs per day. So between us, we are very, very busy.
Rob Gomery is a former frontline officer at Lancashire Police. Rob now teaches policing students at the University of Central Lancashire.
Drone technology is prevalent now in every single police force in the UK. What the drone can do is provide a more subtle, so it's less noisy, approach to a warrant. So rather than having a noisy helicopter buzzing above a house that might alert the perpetrator that the police are arriving, the drone is quieter, it can stand off from a good distance, and it can give the commander in charge of the warrant a really good bird's eye view of the activities of the officers and potentially offenders trying to escape the property when the warrant is being executed.
In December 2019, Matt and his team were called on to provide backup for a police raid on an address in Matlock.
Well, the warrant was a drugs warrant, Section 23 Misuse of Drugs Act warrant.
Residents in the area were concerned about suspected drug dealing at the address.
No warrant is routine. Warrants are intelligence or information led. There's sufficient information laid before a magistrate to issue this warrant. Based on that, we're quite happy that there would be something found on persons or inside that address.
The execution of the warrant was carefully planned. There would be around 20 officers on the ground and 2 drones overhead.
We'd been requested to do recce flights the week or 2 before, so I had a current image of what was in the back garden and what was around the area. So there was a lot of planning involved to ensure that evidence is captured correctly and also everybody's kept safe at the property.
The drones would watch the back of the house and make sure no one escaped.
The brief on the morning was we were to be up and overhead just prior to the team attending the front of the address. Our direct responsibility was to cover that back side of the house until officers were in a position that it was all contained. took 2 drones on the day, one to concentrate on the top window, and we had a larger overview of the property as well.
With everyone in place and the drones overhead, police approached the property.
Once the team had arrived to the front and walking down the side of the property, that's when we noticed that the window started to open.
As the drone camera zooms in, it spots a small package being thrown from the window. Then, one of the suspects climbs out, jumps onto the shed roof and into next door's garden.
Nothing surprises me these days, and if somebody wants to get away, whether or not that's down to offences they have committed or are committing, they will do everything they can to get away.
Police on the ground are alerted and rush to the back of the property. The suspect falls through a fence, picks himself up and makes a run for it.
It is like a little bit of a rabbit warren at times. For us, it's extremely easy to be up and overhead and giving directions to where this individual was running. If we weren't there, it'd be extremely difficult. People could hide anywhere and ultimately get out and escape.
The drug dealer thinks he's got away and is looking for somewhere to hide. But the drones continue to track his every move.
He ran through another couple of gardens, then hid under the bush. So without that footage, it would have been extremely difficult to know where he was.
Police dogs are called in, and gradually the net starts to close in.
It is quite hard sometimes to guide officers in, because from the air everything looks very similar. It all looks like a patchwork quilt. But you know, when you do see officers go into the right garden, to the right area, it's extremely satisfying.
Eventually, the suspect, Thomas Stones, is arrested and taken away for questioning. Drugs which had been discarded earlier are recovered.
Without the drone, it would have been very difficult for officers and investigating officers to work out who threw the items from the window. It would have been extremely difficult to have located him once he'd ran. During the execution of the warrant, Thomas Stones evaded the police officers when they went to the front of the property, when they went round the side, and ultimately when they were chasing him through the gardens. He evaded the police dog, but what he couldn't evade was our police drone.
Thomas Stones was jailed for 2 years, 4 months for possession with intent to supply heroin and cocaine.
I think my message to any criminal will be we're always watching, whether or not that's on the ground or from the air, and we will capture evidence for a prosecution. I enjoy what I do, and that makes a big difference. I'm very passionate for what we do within Derbyshire, and we lead from the front, so we're always looking for new technology and research and development. 20 years ago, I would never dreamt that I would have been flying drones. With the drone, nobody escapes.
There are many ways of protecting our homes, and not all of them are high-tech. Fraser Pithy runs Kenilworth Neighbourhood Watch in Warwickshire.
If there's one thing, if you're certainly on a fixed budget, that I would encourage people to spend money on, it would be to fit anti-snap locks. If somebody comes along here to try to punch that lock out, because that's the way they do it, the minute they try to punch it, it will deploy a lever inside the door which will lock it, and they will not be able to get this barrel out. The only way they will be able to get this barrel out is by drilling it out with a diamond drill, and it takes them probably around 20 minutes. They're just not going to do it.
These burglars are trying to break into a car repair shop in Bolton. But the door's fitted with anti-snap locks. They can't get in. Eventually, they give up and flee empty-handed. Dr. Emmeline Taylor is Associate Professor in Criminology at City, University of London.
as homeowners take responsibility for the security of their houses, it's much harder for burglars to commit the offence, but also to then get away with it in the end. What we need to be aware of, though, is that not all premises have got this level of security, and so it's about sharing information in the community so that those more vulnerable houses know the steps that they need to take to protect themselves.
One of the things burglars like least is being caught on camera. And with more and more people protecting their homes with CCTV, that's increasingly likely.
The options for people to choose from is incredibly wide range, and there's hundreds and thousands of products being bought by businesses, homeowners, families, people that live alone. People are very, very security conscious now.
Tegan Jolly works for home security company Arlo.
The reason that the industry is growing so rapidly is that the technology is a lot easier to use. In sort of times gone by, the alarms required a professional installation and they'd be quite complicated to set up. But now, smart security can be controlled from your smartphone.
That means if someone is snooping around your property, you get an alert sent direct to an app on your phone.
That's actually triggered another notification. The benefit of these products being connected to a smartphone as opposed to sort of traditional monitored CCTV is that it allows homeowners to react really quickly. It means that they can quickly contact the police. Some of our systems even have it integrated where you can call a friend or a neighbour instantly, so you can have somebody at the property within a very short space of time.
The cameras are often fitted with artificial intelligence and can cover many entry points around a property.
You can have cameras in the front, you can have cameras in the back garden, you can have cameras watching your hallways, your driveways. But they're also now powered by really intelligent artificial intelligence software, which means that you can be much more specific on the information that you're capturing. It can now detect the difference between people, animals, vehicles, and can all be controlled from your smartphone.
The other big change in recent years is the image quality.
Most security cameras now, whether they're battery or wired into your mains power, have really powerful video resolution. Some of them now have up to 4K video footage, which means that you can zoom in up to 12 times on something that's detected. Whether it's a burglar's face, whether it's what they're wearing, whether it's their behaviours and how they're actually entering properties, which allows police not only to have this really rich evidence to help prosecute, but also to learn and to understand how better they can fight the burglars and the ways that they're entering people's properties.
Burglars are often repeat offenders, well known to the police. If they're captured on camera, the chances are they'll be recognised.
We know when we spoke to actual burglars that they said the number one thing that deters them from entering a property is that there's a camera there. It means that their face is going to be captured, and if they're perhaps known to police, it's going to make it a lot easier for them to convict. On top of that, most of these products now come with things like spotlights and sirens, and it's human nature, if you have a light turn on or if you have a sound, your immediate reaction is actually to turn and to look at where that light or that sound's coming from. And the benefit of that is that you then have a big mugshot of whoever that person is, slap bang in the middle of the camera.
Hello?
Across England and Wales, burglary rates have been falling, and in many areas, more burglars are being caught and brought to justice.
Police are often, fighting multitudes of crime and multitude of fronts, and if technology companies can help make their job easier by providing them with greater evidence and more detail, then that's only going to be a benefit to the police and to the communities that they're protecting.
Detective Constable Jason Wheeler is part of a dedicated anti-burglary team at Bedfordshire Police.
We have 5 officers at the moment who target the offenders. We investigate each burglary that comes in. I've been in the burglary unit many years, and the reason I enjoy what I do is it's nice to lock up a burglar. I've dealt with victims in the past who have had to sell their homes, move address. I've had victims who, jewellery which has been brought down through generations, has been stolen. You can't replace items like that. I've had victims wake up in the middle of the night, gone downstairs and confronted with a burglar.
Thanks to the work of Jason and his colleagues, burglary rates are falling in Bedfordshire.
It makes sense for one small unit to deal with all the burglaries. Then we can see patterns of offending. We know who's just been released, we know who's out and about, and the offenders know me and I know them.
Having a dedicated unit to investigate burglary is a really fantastic resource. We know that a lot of burglars are repeat offenders, they're prolific offenders, and so it's the same individuals committing these offences. They might move around geographically, but a police officer who's been investigating their crimes will get to know their signature style, they know what to look out for, and having that information enables them to piece together multiple offences that otherwise might have gone unnoticed.
Knowing who the usual suspects are and how they operate gives Jason a real advantage.
Some offenders are literally out of prison days before they start offending again. We know what they look like, we know their habits, we know where their home addresses are, we know who they associate with. You're already on a step forward before you get to the scene, because you know who the offender is, or you've got a good idea who the offender is. It's just then trying to link the bits of evidence you can get together.
Many of Jason's most prolific burglars are motivated by drink or drugs.
A lot of burglars will target addresses to steal property in order to fund a habit. Now, whether that will be a drink, alcohol habit or a drug habit, they just want to go in, steal their stuff, and then they'll sell it to a handler or local shops, pawn things in, just for their next hit.
This man, Tommy Walpole, is one of Jason's usual suspects.
Tommy Walpole was well known to our unit for being a burglar. I dealt with Tommy quite a few times. I spent a number of days with him in a car in the past, where he was pointing out offence locations where he had burgled. My colleagues have also dealt with him, and I've been involved in arrests of him over the years. He's got a very distinctive face. Once you see his face, you know, it's Tommy.
No matter how many times he was caught, he would always re-offend.
Tommy Walpole had a drug habit. He was committing offences to feed that habit. He was active.
Specialist burglary teams will have a really detailed understanding of the offenders that offend in their area, so repeat burglars, repeat offenders, and as part of that knowledge they will know when people have been released from prison, for example, that have got previous convictions for burglary or have a propensity to commit burglaries. They will look in detail at intelligence that's sent through to the police, maybe from a community, to say that a particular individual is back in an area. They will go out and act upon that intelligence, act upon that information to determine whether that individual is a person of interest or not.
When a house in Luton was broken into in September 2020, Tommy Walpole was immediately a prime suspect.
It's a large detached property and entry was gained via the rear. I'm not sure how he smashed the window, but a window was smashed. There was a search upstairs in the property in the bedrooms, and a large amount of jewellery was stolen.
At first, there was little to go on.
A forensic team went to the address after it was reported and obviously done what they do, and nothing forensically at all was found at the scene.
The break-in had been at the back of the property, but Jason decided to check the video doorbell at the front, just in case. It was a decision that was about to pay off.
You need luck as a police officer when you investigate crime, and on this occasion we got that luck.
The burglar had escaped through a front window, and as he ran off, he fleetingly came into view.
I played the footage about 10 times, and when you watch it play, it's really difficult because it's a glimpse.
But then Jason got his lucky break. He paused the video at just the right moment.
Straight away I knew it was Tommy Walpole. Watching the CCTV, you can pause it right on the picture where he looks up at the camera. I think he actually sees it and he quickly scuppers off.
To avoid leaving fingerprints, Walpole was wearing a pair of yellow gloves.
I watched the footage alone the first few times, but I was thinking, are they washing up gloves? When I spoke to the victim, she says that she was missing a pair of them gloves from the kitchen. He's put on the first thing he saw, which is a pair of yellow marigold gloves from the kitchen. He's then obviously searched the house wearing them gloves, and then he leaves wearing them.
The gloves had done their job, but the video doorbell footage was all the evidence Jason needed.
As soon as I saw the CCTV footage, it makes you happy. You think, right, that's Tommy Walpole, let's go and get him in.
Walpole was quickly arrested and questioned about the break-in.
Once we got Tommy in custody, he was interviewed where he didn't answer any questions. He went no comment. He was played the footage, shown the stills. He knew that he'd been captured. Due to the good CCTV footage of him leaving the property, he pleaded guilty at court.
Walpole was jailed for 2 years, 4 months.
I was happy that he got a custodial sentence. A sober case like this makes you feel like you're doing a job worth doing. The offender's in prison, the offending in that area is stopped, and you then work on the next case to try and catch the next offender. Without that CCTV, you've got no evidence. There was nothing else. There was no forensics, there was no witnesses, there was no nearby CCTV that would have assisted. He's jumped out a window and there he is, his face.
Motion sensor cameras, like video doorbells, have been vital in many of Jason's investigations.
We've had several cases within the last few months where offenders have been caught on motion sensors, where they approach the property, they don't see the camera, and then it's too late. Even if they have their faces covered, we see their clothing, we can see what they're wearing, we can see what they're carrying, where they're going. And I would say, don't get CCTV after you've been burgled, and why not get it before?
Back in January 2021, the country was in lockdown. As we saw earlier, nurse Jo Birkinshaw was working long shifts at Barnsley A&E when her home was broken into and ransacked.
They took all my valuables, sentimental jewellery really. They're irreplaceable and they're my things. They're gone.
Jo believes she was targeted because she was a key worker and therefore not at home.
I feel as though I were a victim because I was at work. Everybody else would have been at home. It's obvious to see that somebody's not in, there's not a car on your drive, there's no lights on.
After the break-in, Jo posted an emotional message on Facebook and got an overwhelming response from residents and businesses in the area.
All communities and all neighbourhoods are extremely important within the policing operation. They do their job with the permission of the public. Without the help of the public, their job becomes much more difficult. But it's not about people being nosy, it's about being observant of what is happening in your community.
I got letters from strangers, from retired nurses, and sometimes they'd put a cheque in them. An old lady wrote me a lovely letter with a ring. She wanted me to have her ring. It's just overwhelming, the support. Was a reminder that there are kind, nice, generous, thoughtful people who would take time out of their day to write to me, someone that they don't know, to just let me know that they're thinking about them. I wouldn't have got through it without that.
2 local companies came to Jo's aid and installed a smart new home security system to protect her home and ensure nothing like this ever happened again. One company fitted a burglar alarm. Another installed motion detecting cameras covering the entry and exit points for the property. Jo now gets an alert on her mobile phone every time someone approaches the house.
Having the security system makes me feel a lot safer. I know what time the postman comes now, so I know when anybody comes on my drive. I feel safer coming home to my home now. Just such a generous, really kind offer to help somebody is just amazing, really, and I'm so thankful.
In the aftermath of criminal activity, by communities coming together, it does make you feel that you're not alone. Knowing that there are other people out there who also think that what has happened is wrong and that they genuinely care for you is always important. We all want to know that we are not out there alone, because it's that comes from the heart.
I've lived in Barnsley all my life and worked in Barnsley, sort of caring for the community of Barnsley for 25 years. People do care about their neighbours and want it to be a safe place. People are there when you want them to be, when you need them to be. It is very humbling and a nice feeling that people were cared about what happened to me.
There's a new generation of police officers coming through, harnessing technology, determined to ensure criminals no longer get away with it.
The best police officers that I've ever met, they're dedicated, they are unstoppable, they don't give up. They believe in old-fashioned police work, but they will embrace all the new technologies that allows them to combat crime.